What's going on, guys? So, I'm pretty sure we've all heard the Legend of Zelda news by now. So, I'm pretty much just gonna run through what I think they should do as far as like a live action series and possibly what they could do as some TV series as well. Okay, so as far as movies go, I feel like they should start with Ocarina of Time. No surprise, that's probably one of the easiest things to adapt. It's one of the best games of all time, one of the best Legend of Zelda games of all time, and they can do it in a way to where if they really want to they can squeeze two movies out of it, because you can do the first half of the movie, which takes place before the 7 year time skip when he's trapped in that other realm. I forgot what it was called, but you could do that as the first half of the movie, just everything leading up to the time skip, or maybe have the movie end on him waking up and being spoken to and finding out it's been 7 years, and maybe like looking out and seeing Hyrule being ruled by like Ganon and stuff like that. So that could be the first two movies if they want to do it that way, or they could just do the Ocarina of Time, then go into Majora's Mask, because considering those take place after each other, and they could potentially maybe do Majora's Mask as two movies, or maybe have it be a longer movie, because I feel honestly that Majora's Mask would be a better TV series. They can really play with that like time rewinding, like Davy starting mechanic type thing, and really kind of make that into almost like a type of Legend of Zelda horror series. I'm not sure if people would really like go for that too much, except like really diehard hardcore fans of the games. But I feel like that would be a good route for them to go movie wise, because you can do Ocarina of Time, start off with one of the most well known video games, Zelda games, Nintendo games of all time ever, and then go into Majora's Mask, which is just equally loved and popular and just beloved. So they could do it that way, or they could start out with Wind Waker, because let's be honest here, a lot of comic book movies, a lot of video game movies aren't just being watched by video game fans. They're being watched by the general audience. You know what I mean? Like, I know Minecraft just came out, and a lot of like kids who like Minecraft went and saw that, but majority of video game movies and stuff like that aren't just targeted toward video game fans. All it's targeted toward general people who just want to see like a good, bright, colorful kids movie, or like a good family type movie, right? So as far as continuity goes, they don't necessarily have to stick super close to it unless they want to expand the universe. Because I think it would probably be better if they maybe did it as a TV series. Like, I know that movies seem to be the way to go, because Sonic did it, now Mario did it, and now everyone's talking about like an Invincible live action series and stuff like that. And there's nothing wrong with it being movies, right? But I feel like you shouldn't just come out up with a movie like that, because you can have something flop in theaters, right, and it be like a streaming giant. You could gauge things on streaming, and then of course there's gonna be like a Legend of Zelda movie hype. Everyone's gonna love that. People gonna love it, but I don't think a movie is always just a way to start out with. I just don't think that's necessarily the first place to go, especially considering the lore of the Legend of Zelda series. Like, and I know with like Ocarina of Time, there was like different multiverses and timelines and stuff like that. But the thing about Legend of Zelda, where it has a advantage, is that it's more of like a strict line fantasy series. You know what I mean? Like with the Sonic the Hedgehog movies, Sonic comes from a different dimension. Knuckles comes from that same dimension. Tails comes from a different planet in that dimension. Shadow comes from a different planet in the same dimension as Earth. Or maybe he comes from a planet in another dimension, just got shot to Earth. So they had to give themselves some kind of leeway to not make it totally like the comics, where there was like an apocalypse and most of the humans are dead, or this is like Sonic's from Earth and everything's on Earth. The Mario movie, they had the Mushroom Kingdom and all that be a whole entire separate dimension, like separate from Earth. But as far as Legend of Zelda, it's really just more like a streamlined fantasy series. You got Hyrule, you got Ganon, you got Link, you got the Triforce of Power. It's more like a Lord of the Rings type stuff. You don't need alternate dimensions and all this other stuff to explain why all this stuff is happening. You know what I mean? So even if they want to make the different timelines into like other movies, there's nothing really telling them, oh, we have to tell them this from an alternate timeline. They literally can just mash everything together if they want. Say, oh, Wind Waker takes place when he was just a younger Link, and then Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask takes place like when he's older. Same timeline, that they can easily just make that work. You know, they don't have to do as much work as like the Mario movie did or the Sonic movie did. But I do feel like, let's say, Ocarina of Time, right? They make that a movie. Let's say they make it a two-part movie, right? So one thing they could do in order to split that off into TV series, right? Because I feel like they could make these live action movies, make this live action trilogy with a two-part of Ocarina of Time, and then in the trilogy on Majora's Mask, and after that, do whatever they want to do. And so what they could do is Ocarina of Time, right? Part one, you could have, you know, in the part one, you can have Link just go in his coma or whatever for 7 years, right? And then either at the end of that movie, it could be a credit scene, it could be like Wind Waker happening, or Four Swords, or whatever. Really, they could have whatever there, right? And then that could be a credit scene, or in the next movie, in the opening scene, you could have all these like different. You could have Twilight Princess or anything like that, you know, and then that could lead into the animated series, right? Because I think it would be a cool idea to have, let's say, Majora's Mask, Ocarina of Time as the movies, and then we could do Link's Awakening as the first TV series, right? You could do that as like 8 to 10 episodes, right? 8 to 10 episodes. Do Link's Awakening, A Link to the Past, you know, maybe throw Four Swords in there, something like that, or just any of the mobile like Game Boy game. You know what I mean? That would be a good basis for a TV series. You know, especially if the first movie does good, we can have season one of like A Link to the Past or Link's Awakening, and then we could have the second movie. Then we have like another season. Like it's really kind of what I think Marvel should be doing as far as having like 3 series a year and only 2 movies. Like especially with the interconnected lore and the different timelines due to Ocarina of Time happening. Like, of course, wait till Ocarina of Time comes out to launch it, but you really could have just a really good, steady diet of Legend of Zelda content for like a year, especially with all the games still coming out. I mean, you really could. To be honest, like I think Legend of Zelda, it's gonna sound weird to say, but I don't think it would necessarily work that well as like a movie. I feel like it's too expansive, especially once you get up to like you know, Twilight Princess and like Tears of the Kingdom and stuff like that. There's just so much going on. There's a lot of lore. There's a lot of there's just a lot in there, and I feel like a multi-season TV show would do it way more justice than like a movie that's cut down like an hour and a half or 2 hours. You know what I mean? Like if I want to watch a Legend of Zelda live action movie, give me some Lord of the Rings level stuff. You know what I mean? I don't want this like Sonic and Mario. It's different because you can kind of condense them down and like change some things and still be good. But when you look at like the just the whole land of Hyrule and everywhere else that he goes, and like the environments and like Twilight Princess and all the sea stuff and Wind Waker, like I really don't want to see that kind of like what they did with the Assassin's Creed live action movie. Like he was just in a circular arena kind of, and it didn't make any sense, and they like changed way too much. They probably shouldn't even made that movie, but I digress. Legend of Zelda is just too expansive of a series in my opinion for them to really be cut down in some small movie. You know, I don't want to see Majora's Mask cut down to like an hour and a half. You know, I don't want to see Wind Waker cut down to an hour and a half with like maybe 1 or 2 boat scenes or whatever they might have to do just to, like I said in my 3 hour long runtime video, it shouldn't be, if you have to sacrifice that much to make a movie, just don't make it. I feel like Legend of Zelda is just so expansive as far as environment and scope that I really don't think it should start off with a movie. I really think it should just start off with a TV series. Like maybe may have like a marathon of it in a movie theater or something, but like as expensive as it is with all the fantasy elements and all the environments, and I just really I don't want it to get cut down into like a watered down version of it. So I would think that would be an incredible disservice to the fans and be incredibly disingenuous. But I think that's what they should do. Start off Ocarina of Time, 2-parter, then go to Majora's Mask to close out the trilogy. After that, I mean, maybe they can do Twilight Princess and then go into, you know, Tears of the Kingdom or anything like that. Skyward Sword. They could start a whole new trilogy just from Skyward Sword on. Like I said, they can change any mythology they really want, change the timelines about when the Master Sword got created, whatever they want to do. They can really change anything, and it still wouldn't be that hard to believe. It's like a pretty straight fantasy series, but I really would prefer it just to be TV series, honestly, because there's just so much you can do with Legend of Zelda without even having to really change anything, and there's just like a huge scope of it, in my opinion, compared to like Sonic and Mario games. But yeah, I think TV series is the way to go. I know movies is like the, oh yeah, we're gonna do this movie, boom, it might take a little bit less time, a little bit less effort, and be quicker to crank out, and be a better gauge of things in a way. But I feel like with all the stuff you can do with Legend of Zelda, it's just so much bigger than you know the scope of things you can do with a Sonic game or a Mario game. And like the movies have captured Sonic and Mario pretty well in that scope with the characters and the environments and everything, and it felt very appropriate for those characters. But I feel like if you try to cram Zelda into that small of a box or that small of a time window, I don't want to. I don't want to see these legendary stories. And of course, I don't want to see it from Mario and Sonic either. But as far as Zelda, I don't want to see these legendary stories crammed into like an hour and a half, 2 hour movie and have so much stuff left out and just have so much of the substance gone to where it's just boring, like the Percy Jackson movies. So I really think TV series really should be the way to go. Just like maybe a 10, 12, and maybe even like a 13 episode season or so, and then gauge it that way and then build up to the movie. But starting off with a movie and all the stuff that they could get rid of or cut down or shorten, I don't think anyone would like that. So, of course, we still got plenty of time for anything else comes out about this, but that's just my thoughts on it. I think they start off with TV series instead of movies, really. But if they do movies, Ocarina of Time Part 1, Ocarina of Time Part 2, Majora's Mask, close out the trilogy, then use Ocarina of Time Part 1 or 2 to go into Link's Awakening, Link the Past, and all those other games. And I mean, like I said, we don't know what is even really happening. We just know that the movie is going on. We don't know who's directing it, who's starring, or anything like that. They probably don't even know that yet. So we got time, but there's just a lot that can be left out here, and that's really kind of what I'm mainly worried about. So we'll see what happens, man. If you guys like this video, and you can like, comment, subscribe. Thank y'all for watching.